Welcome to this explainer. Now picture this. It's a massive, truly historic event right in the heart of Washington. Thousands of people are pouring in, and to everyone there, it was a night expected to be completely safe, highly controlled, and perfectly predictable. Just an evening of entertainment and celebration near one of the most protected places in America. On the surface, the atmosphere was exactly what you'd expect from something of this scale. Thousands gathered. Lights, cameras, noise everywhere. You know, events like this are deliberately designed to feel absolutely impenetrable. The visible security presence was massive. Guards stationed at every corner, physical perimeters set in stone, cameras constantly scanning the crowds. It's that loud, bright illusion of the perfect public event, where everybody is focused on the show and absolutely nobody expects danger. Compare these specific event security protocols with standard federal protection procedures, and they always have one thing in common: overwhelming visual deterrence.
But here's where it gets really fascinating. There is an incredibly stark contrast at play here. On one side, you have that highly visible, noisy security on the ground, the physical barriers, the uniforms, the things everybody sees. But on the other side, you have what was actually keeping the event safe. We're talking about a quiet, intensely analytical digital investigation happening entirely behind the scenes. While the crowds cheered, a totally different, silent intervention was unfolding in the shadows.
Section 1. One critical warning.
The threat investigators uncovered actually wasn't picked up by those visible cameras or physical checkpoints at all. It didn't start with high-tech alarms tripping across some giant federal dashboard. It started on a micro level. As security experts noted when analyzing early warning signs of this case, the first break did not come from surveillance. It came from concern. The source material highlights that a family member noticed deeply concerning online behavior. Think about that for a second. Think about the immense emotional impact and the incredibly heavy psychological burden that family member must have faced. It is a gut-wrenching personal struggle to report someone you love, but they made the incredibly difficult choice to alert authorities before the event even started. And that agonizing personal choice, that became the vital first data point for federal agencies.
Section 2. The digital paper trail.
Transitioning from that single, localized, and highly emotional family tip, authorities instantly launched a sprawling, high-stakes federal digital investigation. And it followed a very methodical sequence. Step 1, the family member alerts authorities. Step 2, the digital analysis begins. Phones are examined and chats are meticulously reviewed using specific technical methods to verify the data. Then, Step 3, connections are mapped to a larger network. This perfectly shows how modern surveillance technology differs from traditional field investigations. It wasn't about tracking physical movements on a street anymore, it was about tracking digital communications across servers. Investigators were quietly putting together a massive puzzle.
And what they found in that digital footprint was honestly chilling. To meet the heavy legal burden of proof required for federal intervention, they needed hard evidence, and the digital chat logs provided exactly that. It wasn't just one isolated person venting online. As investigators alleged, multiple individuals across different states were actively communicating and discussing violent plans. Reviewing these messages gave federal agents the true scope of the danger, suddenly escalating the severity of the threat. It shocked even experienced agents just seeing how coordinated this hidden network appeared to be.
And this really highlights the tense reality of modern investigative work. Nothing dramatic, no movie scenes, no alarms. We all tend to picture massive federal interventions looking like a Hollywood blockbuster, right? Sirens blaring, doors being kicked in. But the reality of this operation was far more analytical. It was just quiet professionals connecting the pieces in the shadows, analyzing data, and verifying online threats without ever making a sound. Because here's the golden rule. Once people know they are being watched, everything changes. Federal agencies had to move with incredible speed but absolute silence. If this network realized investigators were inside their chats and onto their plans, the entire operation would be jeopardized. The suspects could scatter, they could accelerate their timeline, or just go entirely dark. So managing the stealth of the transition from those initial reports to federal legal action was absolutely vital.
Section 3. The invisible ticking clock.
So outside, you have the lights, the cameras, the crowds arriving for a joyful celebration. It's an innocent, ongoing party. But inside, behind closed doors, there's an intensely time-sensitive investigation happening. It literally became a minute-by-minute breakdown in those final hours before the event. Every single second mattered as they raced to intercept the threat before it breached reality. And well, they beat the clock. The threat was successfully and quietly intercepted. Officials later announced arrests had been made, but most importantly, the event itself continued entirely without incident. All that digital tracing worked perfectly.
Because of that quiet success, many never realized that something serious had even been interrupted. The public remained completely unaware. They watched the event, they cheered, and they went home in peace. It's a fascinating paradox of modern security, isn't it? When it works exactly as intended, nobody even knows it happened. Those quiet digital tactics completely shielded the public from the reality of the danger lurking just out of sight.
Section 4. Prevention and the aftermath.
But the story didn't just end when the crowds went home and the cameras turned off. Even after the initial charges were filed, the investigation continued into whether broader networks were involved. And this leaves us with some really difficult questions we have to face. How early should warning signs be taken seriously? What role do family members play? And how much happens online entirely unseen by authorities? This perfectly highlights the absolute importance of digital literacy and community awareness. Identifying potential public safety threats almost always relies on someone noticing something isn't right in their own digital or physical community and having the courage to speak up.
You know, people often imagine danger arriving loudly, with sirens and chaos. But sometimes, the biggest stories are the ones that never happen. They are the tragedies interrupted before they ever become headlines. It is truly remarkable to think that because someone made one incredibly difficult call, and because investigators followed that one lead through a maze of digital chats, an ordinary night stayed perfectly ordinary. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought. Looking at everything we've just covered, the visible security versus the digital tracking, the heavy burden of the family tip versus the swift federal response, what matters most in preventing situations like this from becoming reality?
Consider our viewer poll. In preventing situations like this, what do you think matters most? Is it A, taking warning signs seriously, B, better online monitoring, C, faster investigation response, or D, community awareness? Think about the complexities of prevention we just explored today. Let us know your choice in the comments down below. Let's get a real discussion going on how we balance all of these critical factors. Thank you so much for exploring this with me, and keep asking questions.